Okay everyone, welcome back. And in this video today, I want to talk about etching. And there's my etched bead. Now, the definition of etching is to use an acid to erode the surface layer of a substrate. And in this case, our substrate is a glass bead. And the acid that we're going to use to do this is called Etchall. Now, Etchall comes in two different versions. There is the liquid version that has the blue and the white label, and there's a cream version. I've never used the cream version because I think you have to apply it with like a sponge or a brush or something. And since we're doing such little small items like a bead, and we want that etchall to get in the little cracks and crevices, I just use the liquid. Now, because this is an acid, you guys have got to take care of yourselves and pay attention to some safety techniques here. The first one is get yourself a good pair of gloves. And I've got my Latex living gloves that I use for etching and also cleaning. The other thing you want to get, of course, is a really good pair of safety glasses. I just use my soda flare glasses because they go over the top of my prescription glasses. They cover my eyes and a little bit of my forehead pretty well, so I use these. But make sure you're wearing safety glasses. Now, if you do happen to get this on your skin, it's not a really super strong acid. It's not going to burn a hole through you. But you do want to rinse your skin right away with lots of warm water, flush away all of that etchall, and you should be okay. I've actually had it on my skin and I haven't had a problem, but I rinsed it really, really well. Alrighty, the next step in order to etch your beads is, first of all, you want to anneal your beads in your kiln, just like you always do. Go ahead and anneal them, go ahead and get them cooled off, and then go ahead and clean out the hole where your mandrel is. You want these beads to be pretty clean, mainly because I'm always afraid I'm going to contaminate my etchall, and I don't want to do that. So I always clean my beads really well, clean out the bead release before I put them in the etchall. Now, I store my etchall in a little Tupperware container right here, and all I do is I have my big tweezers. I like to use these to fish my beads in and out of the solution. I just grasp it and I put it into the etchall, and I set a timer and I let it just sit in there probably about 10 to 15 minutes. It doesn't take very long for this glass to go ahead and be etched. Now, while that is sitting in the acid, you want to prepare your neutralizing solution for a neutralizing rinse. And all the neutralizing solution is baking soda and water. So when the 15 minutes is up, I'm going to fish that bead out of the acid and I'm going to dunk it into the basic solution. Those of you who remember your high school chemistry, bases neutralize acids, acids neutralize bases, and that's what I remember. Let me add some water to this. And I don't measure, I just put in, I don't know, a quarter cup of baking soda to a half a cup or so of water. Give it a good zhuzh around and let that solution kind of dissolve a little bit. And yeah, that's it. And then you wait for your little alarm to go off. So I'm going to pretend it's been like 15 minutes and I'm going to fish that guy out. This is actually the hardest part, is fishing out the bead. Now I want you to watch that basic solution. When you put your bead in, it will start to bubble. So that way you know that your bead is being neutralized and all that acid is being neutralized. Then I put the lid on my little Tupperware. I store it in my sink. which brings up a good point. Don't use Etchall in like a porcelain bathtub or a porcelain sink. This stuff etches glass, and if you get it in your sink, a porcelain or a glass sink, it's going to etch it. So I have my little metal hobby sink here that I use. I'm going to go ahead, give my bead a good zhuzh, make sure that baking soda gets in the holes, and then I just rinse it under running water. And that, you guys, is all there is to it. Now when this dries, it'll be nice and etched, and you'll be able to see that nice matte rustic finish that is on your bead. I love it for stuff like sunflowers, because sometimes you just don't want a real shiny bead. You want something a little more vintage, a little more antique, rustic, and etching is the perfect way to do that. Okay, there's my final bead. And I forgot to tell you guys, sometimes when you etch your beads, you will have this little white powder that's still on the bead from the etching process. That's just leftover silica that's still on the layer, on the top layer. And you can clean that off really, really easily by using Colgate. I use toothbrush and toothpaste. I just put a little bit of that abrasive toothpaste on the bead, give it a nice little scrubby, rinse it really good, and you'll be able to get those little white powdery crystals of silica off your bead in no time. So you might have to do an extra step in cleaning your bead after the etching. Okay, let's talk about masking. Now, let's say that you wanted a part of your bead to be etched, say the back part of it and the sides, the background, but you still wanted part of your bead to be shiny. In this case, I still wanted my sunflower to be shiny, but I wanted a matte background. So what you do is a process called masking, and you basically cover up the parts that you want to remain shiny, and you leave the other parts exposed to the etching solution. So there's two different materials that you could do to use masking. The first one, and my favorite, it's called liquid latex, and you can get this off of Amazon. This stuff is used like in Halloween costumes and special effects makeup. You can see this girl, she's all painted in the liquid latex. And this works really, really well for masking your bead. It comes in all different colors. I happen to buy purple this time. And it's a really thick kind of painty, creamy, painty stuff. And what I do is I just get a paintbrush, put a glob of the liquid latex on, and then I start painting my bead. And you may have to put a couple layers of the latex on the bead, and you got to get in all the little nooks and crannies. You want to make sure that it is fully covered with that latex. And then you let the latex dry. It usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes for it to dry. And in this particular case, my latex was a really dark purple when it dried. And my bead looked a lot like this. Then, once your latex is dry, just go ahead and drop it in the Etchall, just like you did before. Let it sit for 10-15 minutes, just like before. Put it in the baking soda solution, give it a zhuzh, and rinse it off. And this latex, when you're done rinsing, this piece actually fell off in one whole piece while I was rinsing it in the water. But you should be able to just peel it right off the bead. I mean, it comes off really, really easy. If you do have any latex stuck in the little nooks and crannies, just whip out your toothbrush and get in there and give it a good scrubby-dubby, and it'll be fine. So that is how I mask my beads with the liquid latex. The other material you could use is nail polish. And again, clean your bead really good. get a little paintbrush and go around and paint all the parts of your bead that you want to remain shiny and expose all the parts that you want to be etched. Now nail polish paint, it's okay, but it was a pain in the butt because I went and I painted and then I had to wait like 45 minutes for it to dry, and then I decided I needed another coat, and then I waited another 45 minutes to dry, and then I went ahead and etched it as usual, and then I had to get the nail polish off. And I started out with a cotton ball of acetone, and then I got nail polish all over my bead, and then I finally gave up, and I had to soak it in a little cup of acetone. And to me, it was an extra step, having to clean it so much with the acetone. It was a real pain. So yes, nail polish works. Yes, you can use it to etch, but if it were me, I am a liquid latex girl all the way. So there you go, you guys. That is etching and masking. I hope you like it. Have fun and share with me what your creations are. Okay, have a good day. Bye.